If you guys have not been watching the multiplayer head-to-head, what the hell have you guys been doing? Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another glorious Rome 2 battle on Divide et Impera. This one was taken from the multiplayer head-to-head that I'm currently doing with Republic of Play every single Wednesday here on YouTube at 4 PM BST. Make sure you tune in because we have plenty of battles just like this and things are only going to get more and more heated. So it doesn't matter if you haven't seen the first two streams, but you can check them out on the channel. They are there on my uploads. But it doesn't really matter. You can just jump in, ask what's happened, and then just see some pretty goddamn epic battles. If you don't know what the head-to-head is, basically it's a multiplayer campaign between two people where the other person takes control of all the battles. So if I'm fighting the AI, like Darren is right now, then basically that means I get to play as the AI and try and mess him up. I'm obviously also playing my own faction, so I'm trying to mess him up as the AI as well as trying to do as good myself, and he's trying to do the same to me. So things get pretty crazy, and this is a perfect example of just the craziness that can evolve from these battles. As I'm playing as one of Darren's enemies in this engagement, so it's a German tribe. I'm not exactly sure who it is, but we are playing as a German tribe and he is playing as the Swaby. That's his faction in the campaign. And yeah, this is a pretty insane battle. I think Darren has something like 10,000 soldiers and I have 8,000 men. So it's an 18,000 man battle. And obviously this is his set of armies. These are his kings. These are his sons. You know, if I could win here, then, you know, that's dramatic. That completely changes the campaign map, and it's, you know, basically just an AI army, so it doesn't really matter if I lose this entire force. Obviously, I want to win because I want to slow him up as much as possible, but I could inflict some pretty heavy casualties, and even if I don't win this battle as well, then it doesn't really necessarily matter too much because I'm still doing loads of damage to his population. I'm still doing, you know, inflicting damage, making him having to re-recruit men, which is costing him money. So, you know, every single little thing in these battles really does come up and play a big role. So as I said, this is a massive battle. I have, if we go to the overall map, I have an army over here on the left-hand side and an army right here. And these, again, are the mind games. Because we have reinforcement armies coming in and mine reinforcements are coming on over on this side, my original position for the army, where the kind of game put it put my army right here. So I would have had a nice little front here and here. But I wanted to try and catch Darren's army before it made its way to the town. So I took a risk. I moved my entire army, which is over here, from here to there, expecting his reinforcements to be coming on behind him because it spawned me right here. So that's kind of where I started on my campaign map. I was expecting his men to come on the other side because on the campaign map, your armies are generally behind your main army getting attacked inside the city. However, I was wrong. I moved from this position and yeah, his reinforcements ended up coming on here. I can't see them right now. But it's just like little things like that completely change up the battle in these head-to-heads, and it's kind of crazy. If I would have stayed deployed right here, I could have turned around, built up both my armies, and then smashed his force as it came on, kind of cutting his army into two, you know, the army inside the city and the army outside of the city. But unfortunately, you know, I took a risk. You know, I kind of took the odds of his army coming on behind him, and it just didn't pay off, and, you know, it was just unfortunate. I mean, it was really just a 1 in 3 chance as well because my reinforcements are coming on this side. So chances are he was either going to come on somewhere there. And even if he came on here, I could have probably have intercepted them beforehand. But the fact they came on there, it was just really, really bad news for me. You know, so yeah, it's just like a really cool, unfortunate thing. So at the moment, Darren is just throwing out his garrison force. Trying to get rid of them, basically, because if you can get rid of this garrison force, you can get access to more of your armies coming on the battlefield, as you're only allowed to bring 40 soldiers units onto the engagement field. So because of that, he's trying to get rid of these kind of awful town levy just so he can bring more infantry on and quickly get them over here. I'm going to be pushing forward with some of my infantry. I didn't realize that these were naked warriors, and now they're going up against the Germanic hunters, which are really deadly, and you can see the amount of archer fire coming in is going to dismember so many of these brave naked warriors as they charge in, and they also take an entire javelin throw as well. Probably not my best unit to be throwing in. Again, it's kind of hard when you're trying to command such a large army and I haven't really played with these units before, I wasn't really too sure about like what my units were capable of because I haven't played as Germania before. I definitely should maybe zoom in and just take a little look at them because one look would have been able to tell me, or just, you know, read their descriptions, always a good thing. But right now, I'm just trying to get these spearmen engaged. Some of Darren's traps are popping off, taking out a few of my men as they get closer and closer. But the naked warriors are going to be able to dive in and finally get engaged. This is going to prevent him from shooting me, which is obviously really, really important. So I'm just trying to throw men in now as quickly as possible. I also have my own hunters here. So this is a pretty interesting thing when it comes to the Germanians. All of their kind of decent archers can stay hidden and shoot. So right now, Darren can't see my archers. And obviously vice versa, I find it very hard to see his archers, but because I've got infantry up in his face, I can actually end up seeing his, his archers, and he can't see mine. So right now, I'm able to pick away and quite quickly dismantle these archers. And as you saw, they basically cleared out an entire unit of my spear warriors very, very quickly. So this is going really well for me. The rest of my army is also moving forward. And another thing in this battle, I have 0 cavalry. Darren has 2 armies, 2 full stack armies, and a small detachment of cavalry. So Darren kind of has, like, he has 3 generals in this battle, 2 armies, and kind of like a small detachment of 6 horses. So he outnumbers me by 6 cavalry. He has more missiles than me. So my main goal here is just to blitzkrieg with my infantry. I need to get my dudes stuck in as quickly as possible and just hope that that'll be enough to to win me the day, you know, kind of secure myself inside the city by killing all of his infantry and then use that to my advantage. You know, try and use that against his cavalry so he can't outmaneuver me. But it's going to mean that my flank is like completely vulnerable this entire time. And obviously he has his reinforcement army coming on, you know, soon enough as well. I also need to be really careful with all of these streets. I kind of leave this left-hand side a bit under reinforced. I have a lot of infantry out here just moving now. It took me a little while to deal with the townsfolk and stuff, surprisingly. So yeah, I'm kind of leaving my force right there. And boom, just like that, 3 whole units of cavalry come flying in. Javelins and then a rear charge right there. I try and turn to face it, but yeah, the Germanic horses are going to come flying in and catch my infantry with their pants down or their pants off, as you can see, and they're going to get cut down, you know, and that's really important. And you can see I'm kind of just fleeing back as fast as I can with these guys, trying to reinforce with more infantry as best as I can. And you can really see, like, you know, things are quite hard with these low morale units. It's very easy, just, you know, as soon as you get hit in the back by a unit, it's very easy to kind of, you know, have your entire force just crumble away because, you know, the problem is with low tier Germanian units and I guess tribal units in general, the morale isn't great. So, you know, the envelopments, the ambushes, and the rear charges matter so goddamn much. Now, when you start to get to the kind of higher tier infantry units, that looks awesome as well, the smoke. That looks really cool. When you start to get to more of the higher tier barbarian units, they're pretty decent. You know, they can definitely hold their own and they can withstand rear charges and stuff. Especially heavy spearmen are really strong. Like, they're like the strength of the majority of these tribal units. But yeah, like, you can really rack up some serious morale damage on these lower tiers. Another more of my spearmen moving into the city. So you can see that I have now finally reinforced this section of the battlefield, and somehow my javelins are actually still holding off. I guess they are a spear unit at the end of the day. We're actually doing a pretty decent job. And I love the mist that is going over this battlefield. That is epic, man. So I get some good javelin throws off as they're fleeing. They get some back on me. But the nice thing is in this battle is I'm slowly starting to drive the cavalry back inside of the city. My secondary army has now turned up under heavy harassment from his horses out there. But, you know, I am starting to move myself into the city. And we do have decent infantry. You know, this army is, I think, mainly set up with clubsmen inside the city. So it's his force outside the city I have to be a bit more worried about. That's allowing my army to kind of push through it. And as I said, these veteran swordsmen are really good. They're early period, obviously, but they're still 10 melee attack and defense. That's very nice. And 63 morale. This unit is doing a great job at pushing through. And right now, obviously, I'm trying to harass as much as I can. Javelins coming in. I'm also obviously trying to protect my back as much as possible. Over on this side as well, I've actually done a great job at taking down the majority of his archer force. He's only got 1 unit left over here, I think, and maybe a couple inside the settlement. But I've also thrown a lot of infantry against this, a lot of infantry, and I am making progress. I'm slowly grinding him down. And, this is obviously one of the negatives of having your army stuck outside of the settlement, If he would have had his entire 40 stack inside the settlement, that would have been pretty brutal. But right now, he is defending as best as he can. And, yeah, kind of struggling to keep me at bay at every single angle because I am, attacking from every single side. Luckily, his reinforcements do start to turn up, and let's go in and start to hurt. I do manage to get a unit of swordsmen through this street and actually into this part of the settlement. So you can see I'm hitting him from every single side. I'm about to come flying through this gap in the settlement, which is really cool that this is a thing you can come through. I've got my javelins throwing in on the side of these dudes. And yeah, just like that, you can see I'm coming in from every single side. My general's going to have to be a bit cocky here. I realise that the longer I give him, the more reinforcements he can bring in. And my general is a really decent unit of swordsmen, right? In these early tier games, there's not much that can really take on this unit of heavy melee infantry. So I'm going to be throwing in being kind of quite aggressive with him because I need this unit to be protected. I want this unit to keep on attacking as much as I can. I've managed to break through on this side a little bit more. I've got my archers hammering away into his rear as well there. The cavalry is obviously still causing me some issues, but I'm falling back inside the city as best as I can. You can see, again, I'm making slow progress here, but I am breaking through. There's plenty more to reinforce, but again, I'm drawing more and more men away as the cavalry harassment continues to come in. Yeah, but as you can see, I'm trying to protect my men. Unfortunately, this unit of spearmen did manage to make it through. Nice move there by Darren, and he is going to be able to rear charge my swordsman, which is going to be pretty catastrophic for my morale. And ideally, I really don't want to lose this unit because it's such an aggressive one. It's pushing in. It's keeping him at bay. And look at that. I do manage to break through this unit. I'm going to get a beautiful rear charge. But Darren's with a superior amount of missile fire coming in is going to be able to break this unit of swordsmen. I am quickly trying to throw more in, but I just need to keep up the pressure, honestly. The longer it takes for him to get all of his reinforcements inside the city, the better for me. Again, his skirmisher cab is, causing me a lot of issues. And there's just literally nothing I can do about it. I can't even try to pick off a unit by unit because he just has 6 units and I have none. If I had 1 or 2 units, I could maybe have done a few things here and there, but yeah, I just don't have any power whatsoever. Over on this side, you can see that my superior general sword guard are doing a lot of damage. But again, this is a really risky tactic with my general, and I'm sure I think Darren's is, yeah, cavalry. Oh, that general is really low, actually. Yeah, so having a sword general and being quite aggressive with him is really risky because, he can die quite quickly to missile fire and, the like. And because our morale is not as good as, say, Romans or Hellenics, that basically means, if we lose our general, that's much more impactful than anything else. Yeah, which, as I said, is really scary some of the time. I'm really just trying to break this up. If I can break this unit, I can bring up all of this infantry inside the plaza. As well as that, you can see that I've quite handedly broken a decent portion of this army. There's only a handful of heavy spears left. Obviously, the heavy spears more than capable to hold their own. They are, in a lot of problems. Darren is also harassing me slowly but surely here with, horrific charges, keeping up the pressure, making me having to pay attention, and his big block of reinforcements have now made it around the side of my formation. As you can see, more men are pouring in. I'm making amazing progress here down in the bottom left, but in the north, I have to be so careful because this is all I've got. Darren's got a small trickle of reinforcements coming on because he has 3 armies. Whereas I just need to try and break my way in and cause a big mass rout. Unfortunately, I lost that unit of swords there. And a few of my other units are getting hammered. But, I just need this unit to break. If this unit breaks, I can bring in so much infantry and clear this entire section up. This cavalry, again, causing me some issues. I'm kind of using his own stakes against him, which is pretty nice. But everything else is, causing me a bit of an issue. And I just need this to break. If this breaks, then I can bring so much infantry through. And I think at this point, I'm like, this unit is so close to breaking. I just need to pull my men through. Because there's hardly any of them really there. I can just run through this. I also turn around and charge. And I think that's going to be enough to break these guys on the charge. Because I need to protect myself there. And yeah, you can see, look at all the gaps appearing. I can just pull through. With the superior men, because it's such a thin line of 100 men trying to hold that. It's not really going to help out whatsoever. Over on this side, Darren does do a pretty good job of enveloping a handful of my men, containing me here, which is pretty useful. My general, though, has managed to claim, a victory against that spear unit, which is nice. Over on this side, I'm just trying to bide as much time. I'm trying to hold the line here so that I can hopefully break this. Darren's even throwing in his horses now to try and keep me at bay here. Obviously, if this breaks, then so does this. But there you go, a huge floodgate. And all of a sudden, even though Darren does have reinforcements coming on, he has loaded cavalry, I'm starting to think that victory is possible in this battle. Even though I'm outnumbered, I'm like, holy crap, his men are breaking, He's got a lot of clubmen. And all of a sudden, I'm flying into the city. Unfortunately, taking the city centre does not guarantee you a victory on this because it's a minor settlement. It only gives you a morale buff. But me and Darren obviously have the agreement that if, I control the city centre, Darren has to do everything in his power to get it back no matter what. I don't know what we would actually do if I controlled the city centre but the battle timer ran out, because that is a possibility. I don't know what we would do to kind of counter that. But yeah, so Darren has to try and take this back if I secure it, which it looks like I'm going to. I've got a lot of infantry moving in here. I'm flying in with dudes here because I've managed to win over this side. And now my army is just turning around, ready to face what's coming on, All of a sudden, Darren is having to fight me, and I'm also able to catch a large portion of his cavalry here. And he even has a general, which is pretty low on HP now, only 65 men in the unit. So if I can kill him, that's huge, bringing him down. And obviously, it's up to Darren to try and hold as he does pop the rally. I think Darren is going to try and sneak him out here, which he can obviously do quite nicely. If he just pulls him through here, which he's going to obviously do. There's a big gap appearing, so he's going to get his general out of there. Really smart move there, and probably even rear charge my swords, holding back some of Darren's spears here. Yeah, he's really going to rear charge me because he has 3 units of cavalry right there, and all of a sudden my morale starts to suffer. Luckily, I managed to win this over, and I can charge in and just clear up this section of the battlefield. But Darren's fresh reinforcements are now starting to arrive to the battlefield. And I'm running low on men, I do have a lot of infantry still left remaining. But, all it takes is some decent fresh units to turn up. He still has all of his cavalry. Things are not necessarily in the bag. I do manage to secure the city centre. And winning this part is really, really good as well. So, this is going to free up a decent portion of my men. But the cavalry still causing me just so many issues. Yeah, it's very hard to keep that at bay, but yeah, frees up basically all of these men now. I am also going to start coming around the side as well, trying to envelop. Darren's kind of wedged himself in this side, but there you go. Look at all this fresh infantry and archers turning up, and honestly, I am so scared of these archers. These are fresh archers turning up to a battle where I have 0 cavalry to chase them down. So these guys coming in late is huge because you saw how much damage they did to my warriors beforehand. And there's literally nothing I can really do about it. All my infantry is tied up right now. He can just shoot my general. And what am I going to do? I can run at him, but then he's got infantry to screen. I just basically have to sit here and take this. I maybe should have ran my general away at this point. He's being quite risky, though. He realizes that victory, isn't secure here. Banter power is pretty even, and he's being aggressive with his cavalry. He's just trying to do everything in his path to break through and cause some issues. Obviously, he has to reclaim the city centre or defeat me in the time limit left remaining. So, yeah, right now, he is having to be pretty goddamn aggressive. Luckily, over on this left-hand side, I warned off the cavalry, but again, it's just going to be moving in. And the rest of his army is now turning up. I think he has I think he has 2 more units of Germanic archers out here. I just can't see them, and obviously they shoot in stealth. But yeah, look at all this arrow fire coming in. That's going to slaughter my general. And now, once again, my general going down is just going to cause a chain rout. It's going to severely hurt the morale of my army. And all of a sudden, things which were looking really good are going to not be looking as great just because of these archers coming in and causing me some major issues. And yeah, and this arrow fire is just consistently pouring in, hitting my weakly armored units. But I am going to be still fighting on, trying my best to, if I can rout his infantry, then maybe I can detach some units out here. But yeah, it's so hard because like one of the things I could have maybe have done is just thrown some units to chase these guys, and that would have delayed them a little bit. They would have obviously just spread out and shot my units. But, you know, it's kind of hard to do that because morale is so fickle. All Darren had to do was pull a unit up, like, back through this street and then hit me right there, you know. And then all of a sudden I'm getting shot in the side some more. You can see his generals now moving in, looking to harass my armies. I'm trying to fall everything back now to try and make like a last stand as the cavalry does envelop me. But yeah, his extra 2,000 men came in so handy. The extra 6 units of cavalry, I think, or 4 or 5, maybe it's only 5 units of horses. But obviously he had his 2 generals as well. The archers as well, the Germanian archers. So I definitely had the infantry advantage in this battle, but Darren had just a better built army, and that's always going to be the case. You know, a player in these battles, when you take control of the AI, is always going to have the better built army. And it's really kind of just trying to do as much damage or trying to utilize your strengths from the AI's forces as best as you can. And I feel like I did a pretty decent job here. This battle was extremely close up until about a minute ago when I lost my general. You know, and if these were infantry instead of archers, maybe I would have stood a chance, you know. I could have held the line a bit more. My general wouldn't have died. He would have got stuck in some more. Yeah, more archers there as well. Yeah, it's just, you know, the 6 units of cavalry were very difficult to deal with. But I don't know, as I said, I feel like I put up a pretty good fight with the tools I had available. If I had like 2 units of cavalry, just medium melee cavalry, I could have maybe have, you know, prevented the constant charging over on this side, which would have been saved up this a lot, like I would have been able to conquer this a lot more. Maybe I could have stopped any cavalry from pushing around here in the early game, saving up some spear units. You know, but it's just, I love these head-to-heads because everything is just like on a knife edge. You know, if I would have done a few things different, if Darren would have done a few things different, then literally anything could have happened, which makes these battles so important. And obviously, you know, if I would have won here, you think how crazy it would have been. Obviously, I lose a battle, spoiler alert. You know, if I would have won here, Darren would have lost the city. He would have lost all of his armies, lost his generals, which would have caused political issues. Obviously, the generals are so important to have leveled up in a head-to-head because they give so many good bonuses. He would have lost that. You know, and he would have lost like a lot of his elite units. He would have lost a lot of population he's probably invested. You know, there's just so much at stake in these head-to-heads that it's just awesome. It really is. And if you're not watching these, I highly recommend you do. Even if you just pop in for like 10 minutes, you know, to see how things are going, I highly recommend it. And if you guys want to keep on seeing these battle replays from the awesome engagements, then do let me know. He actually had more archers. Holy crap, he has 4 units of archers there and then 3 here. And a spear unit back there. Yeah, if these were infantry, maybe I could have held. But the fact that they were all archers is just, yeah, nothing I can do when I don't have the missiles myself or the cavalry to harass them. That's brutal, yeah. That's a deadly setup. Luckily for me, I've got Balearic Slingers coming from Iberia because I'm playing as the Arbassi. So I can kind of deal with his range with Balearic Slingers, which is nice. But my god, that is a, yeah, scary force to be sure. Especially when he starts to put heavy Germanic infantry into this army. Oh, it's going to be interesting to say the least. But yeah, I highly recommend you checking out next stream for sure, which is going to be on Wednesday. Because some crazy stuff's going to go down on my part. I don't want to spoil it too much, but let's just say we're going to have some pretty crazy big wars for Iberia. Carthage, you know, no spoilers or anything, but yeah, there's going to be a big old war in Iberia. So that means that, you know, we're going to be fighting some pretty strong units, and Darren's obviously going to be able to control them. So yeah, definitely tune in. Lots of stuff going on, especially now that I've established myself. I think Darren is definitely ahead of me in this campaign. Before he, obviously I don't want to know anything Darren's doing, but you know, from the bits we tell each other in streams, and no one spoil anything on metagame. But yeah, he told me before this battle he had 8 settlements. I think at this point I had like 4. Or maybe even 3 at this point, because this battle was kind of early on in the last stream. So yeah, Darren is definitely ahead. He must be making so much more money than me. But that's fun, right? It's fun being the underdog. And literally anything can change in these. All it takes is Rome to declare war on him, and all of a sudden, I'm not having to worry about it. Or even like, you know, even still, it's kind of crazy as well. It's like, I've got the Spanish or Iberian mountains, right, covering the entrance into Iberia. So if Darren wants to push in, he has to deal with that, you know, a harsh attrition in them mountains. And obviously if I want to go into Germania, there's harsh winters, I have to cross the Rhine. Like, There's so much cool stuff with this setup of factions that I'm just really excited. Sorry, I was just rambling a bit, but as you can see, the rest of my forces are just going down now. You know, I try to bravely try and fight on and kill as much as possible. At this point, I'm just trying to kill like any extra units I can. I managed to get a spear unit around and do some damage to his archers. But with the rest of his cavalry coming in, yeah, this is going to be it for the battle, and he's going to win. But he's going to take heavy casualties. And we'll see them casualties in a second when the battle ends and we can take a look at them. And, you know, I feel like I killed quite a lot in this battle, because what tends to happen in Divided Impera is a lot of units end up breaking and you don't end up killing much. Me and Darren have a rule that as soon as a battle ends, you have to click end replay or end battle, which will just be that. Because, you know, you can't just run around and chase down enemy units. If you want to do that, you do that during the battle. So it's kind of like a nice little trade-off. But yeah, look at that. You know, he had 2,000 just under 1,500 more men than me, to be precise. So yeah, he had 1,500 more men than me. You can't see his other two armies, but I think he had a similar army to this, and then he had, which obviously is clubmen, which aren't great, but these guys are pretty decent to me, archers. And then he had another army of like I think like 6 cavalry or 5 cavalry, which I think was really, really brutal. Indeed, like as you can see, my infantry did very good against his clubmen, but it's just, you know, the constant harassment really hurt up, and his other archers and his other army were just too much to handle. I think, you know, my archers killed his, but then it was just too much. But I killed 6,500. That's going to cost a decent amount to replenish. I killed some units as well, even though I think he said after the battle that he wanted to get rid of most of his clubmen anyway and replace them with better infantry. So I kind of did him a favor, but I guess, you know, it still kills the population. He can't disband these units, and then that'll give him more population by disbanding them. So that's pretty awesome. And as I said, in Divided Impera, generally what happens is like the winning side has around about 1/4, like maybe a quarter, maybe 1/3 of the losses of the person who loses, just because they've obviously won the battle. So having a nice like close kill count like this is really good, especially considering I was outnumbered, and the garrison wasn't part of this as well. These were like, the garrison was like 200 men, so he still had 1,200 units, 1,200 men more than me of okay quality. So yeah, I think I did pretty admirably there. That was an awesome battle. Definitely one to show on the channel. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Let me know that you want to keep on seeing these battle replays. And obviously tune in every Wednesday. You don't have to obviously watch the entire thing. They are 4 hours long. But come in, say hi at least. Let me know that you enjoy this and you want to keep on seeing these battles, because they really produce some pretty goddamn exciting things. And I'll see you guys in the next one.